Hey there, and happy December. This is Kenda with Finn Real Estate Group. I am a licensed agent and certified luxury listing specialist in Los Cabos, Mexico, where I have lived full-time for just over 5 years. Can you believe that it's already December? Sometimes I actually forget that we are in winter months because the weather in Cabo right now is really nothing short of amazing. If you're somewhere cold and dreary, I'm sure this may sound really hard to imagine, but we are still in the mid-80s. I know, ouch. Well, I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound, so enough about my beautiful Cabo sunshine. Let's talk specifically about the temperature of the real estate market here in Cabo. And I think that's what you're really wanting to know about anyway, am I right? Well, it's been a while since my last update back in July. I tend to do a couple a year. And back then, I told you that I saw our real estate market transitioning from a seller's paradise to a more buyer-friendly scene. We talked about the extreme cooling that was taking place in the US and Canadian markets. And I also reminded you that we tend to lag their markets by about 4 to 6 months, give or take. And honestly, that's pretty much exactly what has happened. I will explain more about that shortly. But first, I want to remind you of the metrics that I keep my eyes on. They're kind of like a crystal ball of real estate. First, I look at number of listings. That's the measure of our inventory. Second is sale to list ratio. Are people paying full price or getting deals? Third, days on the market. And fourth, overall price trends. So first up, the number of listings. Basically, it's a battle of supply and demand. More homes for sale than buyers to buy them? Well, it's a buyer's market, and they're holding all the negotiation cards. Low inventory and lots of buyers? Well, it's a seller's market, and the sellers are calling the shots, usually getting multiple at or over asking price offers. The second cool indicator that I keep my eye on is a sale to list ratio. And like I said, high ratio, people are paying top dollar or even more. A drop in that ratio signals that buyers are finding more deals below the initial asking price. The third one is days on the market. It's like the speedometer of real estate. Fast sales or stale listings. You get the drift. And lastly, I look at overall price trends. Obviously, that's not rocket science. It's just seeing if the prices are going up or if the prices are going down. I usually chat about the main areas in Los Cabos, the Pacific side, Cabo San Lucas, the corridors, San Jose del Cabo, and the East Cape. But if you're curious about a specific area or neighborhood, individual neighborhood, just drop me a comment and I will do a little bit of research and get back to you. And before I delve into the nitty-gritty of what's going on in the Cabo market, please do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up. That would be very helpful. And hey, I would really love it if you would follow me so that you will be in the loop for every time I post an update about the Cabo market. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. A quick rewind to 2021 and 2022. Those were the glory days of booming sales in Cabo. The pandemic had folks discovering Cabo and realizing they could work from our sunny paradise. Money they had saved during the lockdown turned into purchased properties, and we ran out of homes very quickly. Think low inventory. Developers saw this inventory shortage and they joined the party, snagging affordable land, and condo towers started sprouting up everywhere. Developers were selling these properties as pre-construction projects, and some had not even broken ground when they started selling. But then the supply chain hiccups happened. Remember those? Those developers were unable to get things like basic building supplies, like windows and grills and appliances. And since there was more demand than supply for those items, it drove the prices up on those items as well, and actually many others. The developers, seeing that their profit margins were quickly dwindling, started raising the prices of the pre-construction properties. but people kept buying them. Also, consider the workforce required to meet the demand of all this new developments popping up everywhere. Cabo was a relatively small area, and there just weren't enough workers here to meet the labor demands. So developers had to scramble to pull together experienced workers as they attacked this problem in two ways. First, they started paying a better wage to attract workers away from other projects that paid less. That started a bit of a battle between developers pushing wages up and up in order to keep their experienced workforce. I think that's great. They needed to be paid more anyway, but again, their profit margin did take a hit. The second way to get more workers was to bring them over from the mainland. This came with a whole other array of expenses, as they first had to get them here, and then they had to transport and house them here. So some workers, once they arrived here, they were enticed away from the company that paid all their expenses to bring them over to Cabo by other savvy builders offering to pay them more. It caused a real shakeup. And these issues also caused a delay in building, meaning that there were still a limited number of properties, again, low inventory, and those delays came with additional costs to the builders. And despite what was happening in the US and Canadian markets that were taking a nosedive, we kind of stood strong during the typical summer slowdown. It was a seller's market extravaganza with bidding wars, inflated prices, and neighborhoods actually doubling in value. Buyers often ask me if I feel like the price increases we've seen over the past 2 years are inflated or legitimate. I think it's a little bit of both, in my opinion. Home prices in Los Cabos prior to the pandemic were relatively undervalued for the views and the culture here. It's almost like Los Cabos had not really been discovered by the masses yet. And now that the world has fallen in love with Cabo, the demand for property here is much higher. So I think because of that, a price increase was definitely inevitable and therefore legitimate. But I also think that it has gone a little bit overboard, and therefore I think it's also inflated. So I will be the first to say I think we need a price correction. Now we're going to fast forward to July of 2023 when I recorded my last video. The market had begun to cool as low season kicked in. We noticed that things really hit the brakes in late July and early August, and it seemed to get slower by the day. I rarely had showing requests, and I even temporarily paused some of my listings because no one was looking. September, it's always abysmal, but we hoped for the usual October bump. We saw a little acceleration in late October for lower priced properties, but overall, this market actually really looks like the pre-pandemic market. The main difference between then and now is that our inventory has seen a major increase as many of these new condo developments we talked about and actually new construction homes are nearing completion. This time last year, we had barely 700 properties for sale, and now there are over nearly 1,300 for sale, so big jump. At the same time, US and Canadian dollars have dipped. Buyer sentiment changed from, I want to buy something right now, no matter what, just get it for me, to, I think I'm going to wait and see what happens, and maybe someday I'm going to buy a property. I can't say this strongly enough. Buyers aren't in any rush to purchase property anymore. They're just taking their time and looking for the perfect place. They feel no sense of urgency because so many properties are coming on the market every single day. They also want to wait and see what's happening with the economy and the elections and some of the major conflicts that are happening around the world. Now, don't get me wrong, I have frequent showings. Buyers are out and about and looking at property and formulating a plan to someday buy, but they're in no rush. Beautiful, well-priced properties that would have sold immediately in the past 2 years are just sitting on the market with no real reason why they're not selling. Cutting to the chase, prices are still up there. But if you're a savvy seller, you're going to be dropping your price strategically. As I said, buyers are in no rush with a flood of properties hitting the market daily. So if you want to sell, you have to price smart. If you overprice your property, it just simply will not sell. If you have time to wait it out and you want to hunt for that perfect buyer, you may be able to price a little bit higher. But if you are ready to sell, beware of inflating your asking price. You need to work closely with an experienced agent who understands the market and pricing trends to have that strategic advantage when trying to get the attention of today's buyers. And if you're in the market to buy, now may be the time to snag a deal. The list to sale ratio, which used to be close to or over 100%, it's now down around 96% and lower in some areas. So make sure your agent understands the area that you're looking at and is confident and competent about the value of the property that you're interested in. So whether you're selling or buying a home, my team and I are here to help. We're on top of the trends, we're very experienced, and we keep each other in the loop about what we are seeing out there. Reach out and let's navigate this market together. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the new year.